We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Moanis, right? Did I say it right? Moanis?
I say Moanis. I don't think he's ever corrected us yet, so I'm not sure. I say Moanis.
Moanis. I'll go with Moanis.
Sure.
Was considering buying a JVC X570 projector, but the JVC's website makes it quite clear that the more expensive 770 and 970 models include their real color imaging, which is a DCI P3 color filter that lets those models produce wider colors than the 570.
Mm-hmm.
So is not having that color filter a big loss? Should he wait longer for the more affordable options? He is concerned. I don't know the answer to this question.
So I mean, the X570 is technically a wide color gamut projector because it can produce colors wider than Rec 709, which is like the only requirement for calling it wide color gamut capable, but it doesn't reach the full DCI P3 color gamut. That's why the more expensive models have the extra color filter. Interestingly, the less expensive Epson 540 UB also has a very similar color filter to expand its gamut of colors to nearly the full DCI P3 gamut. In both cases, putting that filter in place, and you do so by selecting the cinema picture mode, then they have a couple of different ones, but if they're named cinema, it puts that filter in place. And most people say, if you're listening, you can actually hear it click. It's like a physical filter that moves into the light path.
That's weird.
And it cuts the light output as well. So It's almost a choice, because you either get brighter highlights for high dynamic range, or you get the wider color. It's awfully hard to have both, because if you get the wider color with the filter, you cut the light output, so your high dynamic range highlights aren't quite as bright anymore, or you move the filter out of the way and you get the bright highlights, but then you don't get the wider color. So yeah, should he worry about the 570? If you're the type of person who knows enough to worry about it, I'm almost tempted to say either look for maybe an X750, because those are being cleared out. They're not quite as advanced. Like, they don't automatically switch into HDR picture mode when they sense an HDR image. You have to manually put them into the HDR mode, the X750. But the X750 is the direct predecessor to the X770, and it had that color filter. So I would either maybe do that, or I would maybe wait to see what Epson does to replace the 540, because the one downfall of the 540 was that it could not accept a 4K 60 frames per second signal.
Oh, right.
It topped out at 4K 30 frames per second. Of course, 4K 24 was fine. So if you're okay with waiting a little bit more to either save up more money, look for a used or a clearance X750, or see what Epson does to replace the 5040 UB. That's kind of, because I mean, if you're knowledgeable enough to worry about it, I'm like, you're probably going to want the DCI
I would
color.
focus on the fact that it got dimmer. Like, I would try to remember
Right, yeah.
and try to unlearn what you have learned. You're like, oh, well, yeah, you got the DCI color, but my picture's brighter. I'll take brightness over fake extra colors that I can't really see anyways.
Yeah, because if having the slightly dimmer image is going to bother you, and you'd rather just be like brighter, well, then you're not going to use that DCI filter anyway.
That's right.
So
it's like
that would be something, yeah.
It's like those auto irises that I always turn off and everything.
Right.
You're like, as soon as you turn it on, you're like, what is that noise up there? You're like, what is going on up there? And it's the auto iris doing auto iris things, trying to adjust the darkness, dimness, whatever. Yeah, it's like, go ahead, give me the thing that I'm never going to use. So, should you wait? I don't know that I would, but I can understand if you would. You just have to decide for yourself what's most important for you.
I mean, there's some of us, and this goes for all kinds of different kind of equipment, we're like, I know what I really truly want.
Yeah.
Here's the step down that I can afford right now.
Right.
I'm like, from experience, I'm like, wait until you can get the thing you truly want, because you will always feel like you got not quite what you wanted. That's a terrible feeling.
Yeah. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.